Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Pursuit of Profit Share with MAPS coach David Jones. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That is FASTTRACK@kw.com. That's all for me. David, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Nicole. And guys, welcome to Pursuit of Profit Share. Obviously, this webinar is kind of a introduction of profit share. My goal today is to come from contribution like we always do with that we teach in Bold. And obviously tell you a little bit about the coaching program, Pursuit of Profit Share. Clearly, if you're on this call, you're interested in profit share. And, what I want everybody to think about with profit share, first thing is I'm going to teach you the history of profit share today, so you know, at least abbreviated version of the history of it is profit share is real money. Profit share is going out. We're hitting the $1 billion mark of profit share going out. It is an untapped resource for many people. And profit share is clearly a win-win for everybody, where the owners win, which you want the owners to win, and you win by helping the market center grow. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the history in here. And my first thing I'm going to get you around profit share is a lot of people see profit share, and there's a couple different mindsets. I've been coaching profit share since 2013 officially, been with the company since 2002. It's a big part of my life and my family's life. It's funding all of my kids' college. College is 100% funded by profit share. So it's a big, and I say funding, not just one, I'm talking about all my kids of doing it. And, I want you to think of profit share is a lot of people see Linda McKissick, who is our number one profit share earner, who earned $1 million in profit share. And they say, it looks like it's so out of reach. And then on the other hand, people see profit share. They see little bitty checks. They say your first profit share check of $20. And so they have trouble kind of filling in the gaps in between. And, what I want you to look at profit share, first of all, is just another source of income. And kind of going through here and kind of getting the ball rolling on the screen. I always like coaching and talking to people. Voice went out. Somebody type in the box. Can y'all hear me right now? Can somebody just type in the question box a yes or a no? Yes. Okay. There you go. Look at you guys. All right. Looks like Ivan, can you hear me? Just because I saw you. By the way, thank you for typing in there. Ivan, can you hear me? All right. I got all yeses and no nos. So I'm going to keep moving here. So I do want you to look at profit share as just another source of income. It's for some people in here, it could be $20,000 a year, $30,000. I do believe, and I say believe based on evidence of numbers, that anybody can make $100,000 a year in profit share, starting from zero in 3 to 5 years. If you already have momentum, you can do it any faster. If you're already making $20,000 to $30,000 a year in profit share, you can literally turn that into $100,000 a year through a basic business plan of to $100,000 in 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 years. So the cool thing is when you start getting to those numbers of 70 to 100,000, it literally is passive income. All I want you to do is look at it, though, more than just profit share. I think everybody should have multiple sources of income. You should draw down all your sources of income. You should draw it out, and then you got to decide how many of those are active versus passive. Now, profit share, I'm going to give you the real truth around profit share. It's not like anybody's been keeping it from you. Is profit share is active income in the beginning, because you go out and you're going to learn how to bring people into the company. So it's active income in the beginning. And then slowly as you build it through certain metrics, you're going to turn it from active to passive. So it's not necessarily just passive in the beginning. And I know we preach a lot about that. I know we talk a lot about being passive income. You basically got to build it to the point where it becomes passive. Now, I want to talk a bit about why profit share was created and why Gary created profit share. And, I love this right here. If you want to be rich, this is Robert Kiyosaki. If you want to be rich, you need to develop your vision. You must be standing on the edge of time, gazing into the future. Now, the reason I use this quote is because Gary, back in the day, I'm going to give you a little bit of history of Keller Williams. It's going to be very quick. Keller Williams was started in 1983, so I think that's some good history. And Keller Williams was started in 1983 in Austin, Texas. In 1986, going into 87, the market took a crash. The oil crash was happening in Texas, and the savings and loan crash was happening at the same time. And so half of the realtors in Austin, Texas, which is where Keller Williams was based out of at that moment, half of the agents got out of the business, and a new model came into town, came into Austin, Texas, and took its new model, its new cutting-edge model called the 100% model. RE/MAX moved to Austin, Texas, and took half of his agents. Took all of his top producers, and Gary was actually left in the 80s with 5 agents at one time. He went from the number one company in town, and just totally everything just shifted and crashed and went the other way. Well, he rebuilt the company up a little bit, and the reason I put that quote about being a visionary looking forward is Gary was always looking to the future, and he was reading a lot of books about the future. He was reading books on people like Trammell Crow, on how they became the #1 commercial real estate broker in the world. He read, of course, Kiyosaki. He was reading Covey books. And so he started on this. So he got all of his agents in a room and the top producers that were left. And as he was sitting with those top producers, he sat around and he said, how do I create a company no one would ever want to or need to leave? And that question became kind of the launching pad, the trampoline for profit share. So he was reading and he was already thinking about profit share. So I want everybody to imagine it's 1986 and 1987. And Gary's sitting with his top producers, people like Althea Osborne, Gary Gentry, or a couple that are incredible ambassadors for our company, still with the company, doing well. We're in that room. And he said, how do I create a company no one would ever want to or ever need to leave? So he started talking to them about this, and he started putting things up on the board. And if you look on the screen right here, it says share the profits. So he basically asked them, if I share my profits, would that be okay with you? And I know we don't have any voice. By the way, in the coaching program, we're going to be more coaching. This is more presentation style, so hang with me. So he's basically, of course, as you would probably answer that, he all said, heck yeah, I'd love to share in the profits. So he did. So he started coming up with these models and researching how to share the profits. Now, just so you know a little bit about how it started out, is Gary actually started out with revenue sharing. And we all know the revenue sharing has become popular lately. EXP's brought that on board. And just know he went away from revenue sharing very quickly. And the reason he did is because revenue sharing is not a win-win scenario. Because the company can literally, an agent can make money in revenue sharing and the company can go out of business. And if you go look at all of the revenue sharing companies that were up and coming, they're very short-lived. They do big old spurts up quickly, and they show a splash. I talk about how fast they've grown, and then they drop very, very quickly. Okay, so you look at some other companies out there, the Exits of this world, the Avalars, who have made splashes and then they drop quick because revenue sharing does not guarantee that you have a win-win environment. So Gary moved to profit sharing very quickly. Now, I'm going to walk through the profit sharing here in just a minute, a little bit of a model on how it works. I'm going to show you how profit share works. Okay. Now, after profit sharing, I'm going to move pretty quick through here. I teach all of this again in Pursuit of Profit Share in the 8-week program. We go deeper into all this. After profit sharing, basically the agent said, well, Gary, we'd like to see the books, make sure nobody's cooking the books. All right. So he opened up the books. He made it an open book company. If you look over here, that's when they created the More system, which is eventually going to become the Cloud More system. And that was our proprietary product on how to calculate profit share, utilizing a combination of our proprietary Winmore system and an accounting program. Okay, so that was all created then. Then after they opened up the books, the agent said, Gary, we'd like to share and have a little bit of decision-making into the operations of the company. So he set up ALC, and he shared the decisions. And basically it became a limited democracy. And ALC, Associate Leadership Council, essentially has 2 jobs. Job 1, well, they're guardians of 2 things. Guardians of the culture, and they're guardians of the profit share system. They don't have the ability to hire and fire. They don't have the ability to spend money unless it affects profit share. So they open up the books and they share the decision, became ALC. And that's where the Associate Leadership Council, the Agent Leadership Council was created. Of course, then the last thing Gary says, well, really what we need to be doing is we really need to be training and coaching and getting our agents in production. And that's whenever Keller Williams became, we said we got to educate people, and we became a training and coaching company. Now, this graph you see in front of you, just for record, was notes that I took in a mastermind when I was with Gary Keller in 2009. I was in a mastermind with Gary Keller in 2009 twice. Today, we'd call that a lab. Back then, it was just a mastermind with Gary. And so I took this down, and Gary basically said this, and you can see where it says Keller Williams University, KWU was started, and then MAPS was eventually created after that. And this is what Gary said. He says, we started out as a profit-sharing company, and really what we are is we're a training and coaching company that profit shares. So if I can give you the tagline on this, when anybody asks, Keller Williams is a profit-sharing company, this is what I would say. Keller Williams is a training, coaching, and technology company. I'm sure you remember that. You know that. We're a training, coaching, and technology company that profit shares. All held together by treating the agents as a partner, and this amazing thing called culture, where the Y4C2Ts, our mission, our visions, our values, our mission of the company, careers worth having, business worth owning, lives worth living. Profit share is just a part of creating a life worth living. And I want you to look at profit share like a business. All right? So as we go along, I'm going to kind of monitor. As you can see, my screen will change every once in a while. At the bottom, you can see it just because I'm checking my question box. You're welcome to pop a question on there, and I will check it occasionally as we're going along. All right, how does it work? Very simple. Any agent joins the company as a sponsor attached to them. Many of y'all know this. I'm going to go quickly through it. Okay, any agent joins the company as a sponsor attached to them. Everybody who joins their company as a sponsor attached to them, that's the person that's the procuring cause of you coming on board. Now, that person joins the company. So I go recruit agent Tracy. Tracy joins our company. Tracy goes out and sells a house. Part of her commission comes back to the company, and part of it comes as company dollars. She pays a split. She's on a 70-30. 30% goes to the company. 7% goes to her. She pays what we call company dollar. The market center has a profit that month. I get to participate in the profits. It's a 7-level payout system, very simply. That's it. Now, 7 levels pays up. So Tracy comes to the company. She says, David, thanks for bringing me to the company. Tracy goes out and sells a house. She pays company dollars. She's not on 100%. The market center that Tracy is in makes a profit. Yes, I'm repeating this again. The Tracy's in makes a profit. I get a piece of the profits, and so do the people in my profit share tree above me. My sponsor, their sponsor, their sponsor. Is a 7-level payout system right there. Now, a couple of things in here. After 3 years and 1 day, you become vested. After 3 years and 1 day, I have no answer on why it's 3 years and 1 day, other than it's to guarantee you've been with the company at least 3 years and you've completed your 3 years. So if you're with the company for 3 years and 1 day, become vested, which means that no matter what, in your entire lifetime, you will continue to get profit share as long as you have people in your profit share tree and they're contributing company dollar and the market centers are profitable. That's as long as they're following that formula. Now, once you become vested, you can will it to your profit share to a beneficiary. If anybody's going to be taking Bold soon, there's a video we show in Bold talking about how a family in Oklahoma willed their profit share to a family. There's an older gentleman willed his profit share to a family of 3 kids. He had no kids, no family, and he willed his profit share to another family. It's about $12,000 a year. That family continued to receive $1,000 a month in profit share that he willed to them. They basically adopted him as their grandfather, those young kids. He didn't have any kids of his own, and he said, this is my family, and he willed it to them. Really, really cool family. That video, we show it, is in Bold Step 6. It's a really cool video in there. So this is kind of what it looks like. Not going to cover this too much. You can always take the class in your market center, grow your profit share tree. Your team leaders should be teaching it a lot. Okay, so you have your first level, you have your second level. Of course, it goes up to 7 levels up there. Of course, you have your sponsor. Questions I get a lot are, how wide can you go? As wide as you want. How deep you can go. You get paid through 7 levels. Not going to chew up a lot of time on how this works. I am in the process of cutting a video on how it works, specifically on kind of a little bit more of the math in there. And don't get caught up, some things we get people saying, well, you're just a pyramid. It's not a pyramid because, first of all, I make more in profit share than my sponsor does. That makes it not a pyramid. Multi-level marketing company, we're not selling anything. It's a multi-level distribution. And just so you know, that's the reason this residual income is so important. Now, let's talk about growing your tree. I know I'm moving rather fast. I just want to give you a couple doses in here on how it works. So talking about growing your tree. The time to opt in, there's an old Chinese proverb. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Second best time is right now. The best time to opt in is opportunity is right now. Keller Williams is growing. Matter of fact, it's going to be growing at a pace very, very quickly. Agents are joining the market centers all the time. And so you might as well get a piece of that right there. You might as well get your unfair share of profit share, period. So you might as well start getting involved. And I don't have this script I'm going to tell you on the screen. I do want to get you write this script down. It's very easy. I have kind of a magic bullet question that when you're talking to other agents that are not with KW, and I got this on the screen right here because it's going to relate to what we have on the screen, is I want you to get good at asking one simple question. Have you heard what Keller Williams has to offer? Now, in Pursuit of Profit Share, I teach the students in there on how to tell stories in a way where it creates curiosity. So if you really want the short answer on how to be really good at getting people to be curious about Keller Williams, create curiosity. You do it through stories. The way you tell stories are you tell your story, you tell other agents' story, you tell the Keller Williams story, or you tell your market center story. You tell stories, and stories create curiosity. That's your number one goal. So when you ask somebody, have you heard what Keller Williams has to offer? There's no negativity that can come out of it. Some things you may hear are, oh yeah, I've heard all about it. If they say that, basically say, what have you heard? You may say something like, no, I haven't heard about it. I don't know anything about Keller Williams. Great. When's a good time for me to set you up a meeting with our team leader? Don't you owe it to yourself to check it out? Have you heard what Keller Williams has to offer? Maybe they say something like, I'm not changing companies. Not a problem. I'm not asking you to change companies. One thing I do know is everybody has two companies in their mind. The company they're with and the company they would be with if they ever left their company. I think you owe it to yourself to check out Keller Williams because our goal is to just be one of those two companies. So I'm happy where I'm at. Well, of course you're happy. If you weren't happy, you would have already left. Don't you owe it to yourself to know what everything is going on in the market? What if it could be a possible opportunity for you? So get good at asking the question, have you heard what Keller Williams has to offer? And then also tell your story, how Keller Williams has changed your life. I know for me to tell that story is very easy. It's very easy for me to tell that story because Keller Williams simply is who I am right now. I can 100% say it's because of the company I'm with. So all you want to do is inspire interest. That's it. Inspire interest. That's it. Relate. Be real. When you talk to other agents, start talking about their business. Start asking about their business. Don't puke Keller Williams all over them. Once you create, so your number one goal is to have a conversation, create curiosity. Have you heard what Keller Williams has to offer? Tell your story. Tell another agent's story. Talk about how Keller Williams has made a difference in their life. Refer them to the team leader. Now, recruit is the team leader's recruit. Now, does building a profit share tree need to feel like another full-time job? The answer is no. It doesn't have to. I know a lot of people know this. As a real estate agent, routine is enriched in opportunity. It can be simple as a conversation. Now, right now, this is going to be my first kind of tip for you. I'm going to give you a couple of drop-in tips as we go. One, you're already interacting with agents all the time. I was talking to an agent the other day, an agent on the offer he put in. I was kind of working with him, and he calls me up and tells me he got like 14 offers on a listing. And I said, tell me about the offer you got. Well, the offer that was written was a really good offer. Like, it's very creative. They removed the contingencies out of there, put high earnest money, and it was in Texas. It was low option money, and just make a long story short, it was a great offer. High. And I said, man, that's a great agent. I was talking to him on the phone. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, that's a great agent. That's not a great client. I mean, I don't mean it could be a good client too. My point is, that's an agent that directed them to do that. I said, you need to get that guy to Keller Williams. That's a great agent. So he calls up the guy and he says, hey, I was just curious. Have you ever heard what Keller Williams has to offer? And the guy goes, no, I've never checked it out. He goes, you want to get coffee? So now the agent's going to meet him for coffee, and all they're going to do is sit and talk. During that meeting, only agenda is to get to know them. You're not going to try and push the envelope. You're not going to try and like close them. You're not going to have profit share breath. You're just going to ask questions, learn about their business. And this is what I want you to look about, the 3 goals of a conversation. 3 main goals of any outcome for the conversation with an agent. 1 is develop and strengthen the relationship. So you get coffee with them, you develop and strengthen the relationship. Number 2, you refer them to team leader. Now, your goal in the conversation, you're gonna develop and strengthen a relationship. Your goal is to create curiosity. Your goal is to ask them about their business. Your goal is to ask them what's missing in their business. Are you growing? If you can change anything in your business, what would it be? Tell me a little bit about your lead generation systems. What's your technology that you're utilizing? Now you know where I'm going with this. Are you getting referrals from outside the city? Whatever it is, what questions can you ask? You develop a relationship, you ask great questions, and the second they show curiosity, refer them to the team leader and make sure they meet with the team leader, and you're going to make sure you follow up. You've got to follow up. The key to profit share is following up. Very, very simple right there. So these are some very, very easy, basic things right here for you to do to create a little more profit share. Now, number one way to build your profit share tree is invite agents to events. Get them planted in what we're doing. Invite them to the events and make sure they show up to the events. Bold's launching this week in a lot of markets, Bold 2.0. It's phenomenal. I am a Bold coach. I'm launching tomorrow. I'm excited. Such great material. Get them to Bold. The conversion rate of people who join Bold, and this is actually, the conversion rate is probably better. The numbers we have is just what we have of them telling us they've signed up. 75% of the agents that are not with KW that do and sign up for all of Bold sign up with KW. 75%, 3 out of 4. So get them into Bold this week. Bold's launching in August for you. That's fine. Doesn't matter when it is. Bring them to your team meetings. Invite them to your Red Day. Just start inviting agents to events on a regular basis. Every month, you should be inviting a big old mass of agents, 20 or 30 or more agents to your database. Other things, build a database. 4 laws of a database applies in profit share. Don't think it doesn't. The 4 laws of a database is no different in profit share. Go build your profit share tree. Go build a database of people that you want to put in your profit share tree. Build a database, feed it every day, which means you meet new people. Communicate with it systematically. Have a system. Now, I don't have enough time to go through all the different systems you need to have for profit share. You need to build that database and start communicate with them systematically. And then as curiosity comes up, they show up, then you hand them over to the team leader. Now, don't forget that if you're going to build a big profit share tree, you're going to build profit share not only in your market, you're going to build it in other markets. You're not going to make $100,000 a year in profit share in just one market center. So you got to make sure you're going to open up your mind, which we do talk about in Pursuit of Profit Share, of doing building your profit share tree outside of your city. So any cities that you have relationships in, start identifying strategies for those cities right there. Of course, find new agents, commercial agents, great opportunity. If you find any commercial agents that don't need to be with that dependent model, Grubb and Ellis is of this world. They're fantastic opportunities at Keller Williams because the cap is so small. Possible mergers. Now, small boutiques are a phenomenal opportunity. Boutiques are an amazing opportunity. Okay, find busybodies, natural recruiters, network with top producers. Many top producers were told, they were asked, how many times were they asked to join Keller Williams? They were asked one time. That's a crime. They were asked one time and they joined because of that one time. Invite your database to events. Now, if I would ask the question on this call and get a voice feedback, has anybody on here ever had somebody in their database get the real estate license? Typically, I'll get a couple yeses. When somebody out of your database gets their license, there's only one option, Keller Williams. And, of course, set appointments, offer resources. Offer resources like books. What are you going to focus on? The books, the resources, the free stuff we have, kellerinc.com. Just focus on a lot of the resources and tools that we have that you can share with them. Show them to the YouTube channel, et cetera. All right. This is interesting right here. It's just a line I take. Focus on your first line. Time will take care of the rest. Now, we have a model in Keller Williams. It's basically 15, 15, 1,000. Okay? 15, 15, 1,000. Your first goal is to get 15 in the first line of your tree. That's your number one focus. So if you're leaving off this call right now with one thing, focus on your first 15. Once you're 15, you start bringing people in. Help the people in your first line start showing the value of Keller Williams and build their first line. That builds your second line. Time will then take care of the rest. And eventually, in 3 to 5 years, literally as a compound effect, you'll eventually have anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people in your tree. And the goal for anybody in here to get to $100,000 a year passive income is to get 1,000 people in your entire tree throughout the entire country, which just happens through the compound effect right there. A couple of last tips on here right now is social media. Social media is a place to tell the Keller Williams story. Okay, use social media starting right now. Talk about events going on. Have some type of difference maker in there. Start using social media to tell the stories and start programming them. Because Keller Williams as a company, our mission statement: build careers worth having, business worth owning, lives worth living. That right there is our mission statement, and we do it through training, coaching, and technology to help people build million-dollar businesses. So as you are experiencing Keller Williams, you go to a training event, start sharing on social media, and start using that to tell the story to program them on what you want them to believe about Keller Williams. All right? So here's some program details right here. 8 weekly calls, webinars, 60 minutes in length. All calls are recorded if you're not able to participate in that exact call. Now, these are coaching calls. These are not, this is a seminar right now. It's my least favorite model, and it's okay. So you're going to learn the techniques, the skills. Sorry about that. Let me get that out of here. Sorry, right, guys. I was trying to get over to my control panel so I can see if any questions start coming in. All the calls are recorded, although, guys, you get the most out of the program when you participate on here, or we'll be doing some visuals and things like that on here. You can learn how to build $100,000 in profit share in 3 to 5 years. Okay, it is a plan. It takes a plan. We're going to build a 135 on how to do it. You're going to learn the skills, the techniques, the scripts to create curiosity in KW. Of course, we're also going to focus on our mindset, and of course, repeat is on our skill set. And we got a Facebook page, etc., that we're going to that we use as well to go together. All right, next launch is on July 29th. 8 weekly, 1 hour teleseminars, webinars really on doing it. $249, and then you can get signed up at mapscoaching.com. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. That is a lot of information in 27 minutes, although I'm going to open up for questions. Does anybody in here have any questions? What questions do you have? Ask away. Hey, Dave, is there a right size for a market center to have the best chance of succeeding in profit sharing? You know what? I think I understand the question, Dave. No, there's not. It's interesting because a smaller market center, you're going to have your person that you bring into the company may have a higher percentage of their profit. You can make just as much on profit share with somebody in a small market center as a big market center. So I'd say that no, not really. It doesn't matter because the bigger the market center, the bigger the profit. You know, Southwest Market Center in Austin, Texas, profit share is $1 million a year. Another market center that's got 200 agents, they profit share $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And so, no, it doesn't matter because the way the formulas work, the person that you bring in just makes up a bigger percentage of the profit. You benefit more. So, you know, Gary is super focused right now on profit. He's focused around that book called Profit First. And if you haven't read it, maybe you should go pick it up. And so, being focused on profit first in all of our market centers, you're going to start seeing profit share go up. So, Dave, I don't think there's a right size. Great question, though. I've never had that, and I think it's a great question. All right, who else? What are some questions for profit share? I want to help you guys. My goal was to teach you something today, and I trust I did. You'll have access to this webinar again. What other questions? Come on. I got 27. No, went up. We have more than that on here. Got a lot of people on this call. What are some other questions you got? Oh, you're Dan. I'm Dave. Sorry, Dan. I learned to read my screen here. All right, who else? Who's got a question around profit share? There's got to be a question around profit share on here. Going once. Well, guys, if you're interested in building your profit share tree, as you can tell, there's a lot of information in a small time. That's the reason it's 8 weeks. We are excited about, our number one mission is to give you the skills, the mindset, the attitude, the habits, all those things regarding profit share to help you get your unfair share. So if there's any more questions, I'll check again. Oh, here we go. Would you recommend passing out MREA? Yes, and yes. James, that book is underutilized. We have this belief that it's outdated. It's not. A couple of the budget items have been adjusted, and knowing more about technology, it all still applies to today. So MREA is still our number one item for using to hand out. Let me give you my tip on there though. Is when you give somebody a book, always make sure you write your name and your phone number and your email in the book, and make sure you identify a page in the book that you're excited about, like market. Like, let me know when you get to thinking big. That section really made a difference in my life. Mark the book on an area that you're excited about in the book and tell them about it, and then you have a reason to check in and follow up with them. One of my favorite ones is also Shift book, the book Shift. Page 71 has a great page on how to do world-class open houses. If you ever meet an agent, they're doing open houses, call them up and say, hey, I was reading Shift book today, and I kind of, been going back through it to refresh myself, and I saw this section on open houses. I know you've been doing open houses lately, and I got an extra copy. I was wondering, would you like a copy of Shift and maybe learn how to do better open houses? That's how to use Shift book. The One Thing is another great one because it doesn't specifically talk about real estate. All right. So, James, great question. I'm glad you brought it up. The answer is yes. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. Going once. Going twice. Check it one more time. That's it. Well, guys, I appreciate your time. I trust you learned something today. If you got any more questions, welcome. I'll stay on here for just a minute longer, and I appreciate you guys, and I can do anything for you. Please let me know. My name is David Jones. You can email, as Nicole said in the beginning of the call, at fasttrack@kw.com, fasttrack@kw.com with any questions, and we'll get you signed up for Profit Share. Guys, y'all have a great day. Ivan, thank you. You're awesome. You're welcome, Roland. Thank you.